numerous large-scale programs and deliverables at global scale based on on-site and offshore model in India and overseas. His experience is spread across global IT industry, technology management, professional consultancy services, research innovation, and academics. He has served as a faculty member in engineering colleges, and so he has a very good mix of both industry as well as academia experience. He has designed and implemented advanced and specialized courses in cloud computing for MTech, computer science and engineering students at prestigious universities, and also mentored faculty members for instructional delivery in cloud computing domain. Apart from that, he's a valuable resource person, and he keeps on delivering lectures on various topics related to cloud computing and role of ICT in teaching and learning process. Apart from that, I am very much thankful to him that whenever I has approached him for delivering lecture or to render his services for this kind of academic services for this kind of programs, he has always given us consent. So I am very much thankful to you, sir, for sparing your time for interacting with the learned participants over here. So over to you, Professor PM Khan sir.
Many thanks to Professor Asim Zafar Saab, who himself is actually a key stakeholder in all the IT initiatives, including our website committee convener and SWAM. So many thanks for giving this opportunity. And I'm sure, this next 1.5 hours is going to be very, very useful in terms of interaction on the way we can use ICT. So allow me to, for a minute or two, to seek the inputs from the participants before we get into the slides, etc. So just give me 1 minute. Let me also share my screen, and you can confirm whether my screen is visible or not.
Participants, all of you are please requested to be interactive in nature. Huh? So whenever Professor Khan is trying to discuss teaching and learning process with you, so please be interactive with him and try to interact so that we can make it a very productive session, I mean to say.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, your screen is visible.
Slides are visible, right?
Slides are visible and you are audible, sir, clearly. Okay. Please move your slides, sir.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Slide show. Is the slides
moving, sir? It's moving. Fine, okay, sir.
Fine. So before we get into the discussion on the slide, I will take 1 minute to seek the inputs from the participants in the chat box. We all know that technology is all pervasive in our lives. Something like 15 years back or 20 years back, we all know if we had to book a rail ticket, we'll go to a railway station, stand in a queue, or hire a travel agent to book a train ticket for us. That was very, very common. And today, the situation has changed. Hardly any one of us goes to railway station to book the ticket, right? So we have seen the use of technology in our personal life, and it is being used extensively, even by the person who's not technically educated, or even the people with even the layman is using technology. People are making payment through digital transactions, etc., etc. So we are using technology in our personal life to solve the problem, right? So technology is a very good solution enabler. So which means if we have a problem in hand, we can use technology to find some meaningful solution to that problem. But the problem is technology alone cannot solve any problem. So it is one of the 3 pillars that can help us to reach to a solution. So technology being one of them, the other 2 being people and process. So this training session, or this particular session that we are having, is actually focusing on the other pillar, which is the people side of it. So bringing the people on board, in upskilling the people, interacting with the people, training with the people, it's actually the people side of it. So bring along the people along with the technology so that people can use the technology effectively is another aspect. The third is the process side of it, which means institution has to formally recognize technology-oriented solution into the process of the institution. So all the 3 put together. For example, railways is very much accepting the tickets booked through IRCTC, right? They are not saying that you did not come to railway station, you didn't. So they have amended their. Now in that process, they have added some checks and balances. For example, if somebody had a window ticket on the railway station, he gets waitlisted, then they cancel it. But what happens if somebody has booked a ticket through IRCT, what is called I-ticket, and he cancels the ticket after the train departs? So then there is a problem, because the person might travel and still cancel it. So they have added some checks and balances that you have to do file an FTR, etc., etc. So FTR, FDR, whatever they call. The point I'm trying to emphasize here is technology is a solution enabler, but just by bringing technology alone and not focusing on the people and process will not bring us results. So worldwide, wherever excellence has been achieved, it is the right proportion of blending the technology, people, and process. So with that, I would like to initiate a discussion for a minute or two from all the participants to understand what are the problems that we face as teachers, as researchers or research supervisors, or research students, if there are any in this discussion. So what are the problems that we recognize that needs to be solved, and we can look at how the problem can be reduced or minimized, or some pragmatic solution can be found through technology. So let's hear from the participants. Kindly put your inputs in the chat box. What are the problems that you observe as a teacher? Yeah, go ahead. Am I audible? So it's your turn now. Kindly share some of the inputs. If you see some problems as faculty members or as the learners or trainers, teachers. So if you don't have any input, then okay, infrastructure problem. Very nice. Infrastructure problem. Very rightly said. We had seen the problem of infrastructure during COVID pandemic, when we were suddenly pushed to move to completely online mode. We saw the bottlenecks of the infrastructure, whether it was healthcare infrastructure, whether it was technology infrastructure in moving to an online methodology. Anything else other than the infrastructure? See, we are having students who are not very regular in the class. Sometimes they come to the class, sometimes they do not. I don't know about your institute, but my experience is, and experience of many other participants that we have asked this question in other groups also, students are not very regular. So they are, sometimes they'll be in class, sometimes they will miss the class. So the impediments being caused due to their absence in between, how do we solve this problem? Right? Anything else? So if participants are not okay, lack of knowledge of teacher about ICT, very true, because technology is evolving. So there has to be a continuous process of training of the teachers, training of the support staff, so that they can meaningfully and effectively use technology. Very rightly said. Okay. Any other problems that you see? If we are having during recent COVID pandemic, we saw that people were joining classes in the online mode from their home, from their village, from their town, wherever they were, and they are in the class. Suddenly they get dropped out. We get to know that the power failed, electricity failed in his area, so his battery got drained, so he could not join, though he wanted to join the class, but he could not. So there are things beyond the control of the individual. He wanted to attend, but he could not. So he lost the opportunity of the class. So how do we solve this problem? Right? He does not lose it academically. How do we take care of it? So in the evening, his power got restored, his electricity got restored, he joined, but by that time the class is over. So how does that particular student still get access to what was discussed in the class in the morning, which he or she missed out? So that is what is called one-stop portal, or some kind of LMS, learning management system, where we have a dashboard for each learner and each teacher, where the student can log in and find out what happened in the morning. I was in the class for some time, then I missed out. So that those solutions, so that is what is called LMS. So we should have one-stop shop for all the learners need. So he or she can go to LMS, find out what happened in my class today, and download and go through. Right? So there are technology enabled solutions that we need to adopt in 21st century. Another problem, we have one problem: shortage of teachers is a problem in all the institutions, and shortage of good teachers is a global problem, right? We all know. We will be remembering in our schools also, in our college also, that one or two teachers were very, very excellent teachers. We still remember them, distinctly. So this problem, as we move further upstairs, upward towards the higher education, the problem becomes more and more pronounced. So because there is a concept of expertise, so the moment we are moving towards higher education, there is an expertise, and this has created actually a shortage of expert teachers, expert in a particular research area, expert in a particular domain. So this problem was at solution to this problem was attempted somewhere in 2011 2012 by one of the professors in a US university, by doing an experiment. What is now being called as MOOCs was actually an experiment in a US university, where he tried to conduct a class. So if we have an expert in a particular university in USA, for example, we want the rest of the world to get benefited from him or her, or from the expertise she or he has, then there are only two choices: either he or she travels to across the globe, or everybody else travels to his or her country or city or university. Both of them are very cumbersome and very, very cost prohibitive, because passport, visa, all of challenges, and time also. So to solve that problem, this experiment was conducted, which is now often referred to as massive open online courses. That became very successful, and that gave the birth to the concept of MOOCs. Today we are using MOOCs left and right and center, and Indian platform of MOOCs is what is called SWAYAM. So SWAYAM is an Indian version of MOOCs. We do have MOOCs, edX, etc., so many others, but the government of India is also promoting a MOOCs platform which is called SWAYAM. And fortunately, our Professor Asim Zafar Saab, who was actually initiating the discussion, is the MOOCs coordinator of our university, SWAYAM coordinator of our university. So I'm trying to say, what government is trying to do is trying to get benefited from technology by solving problem. Now, one problem is availability of good quality teachers. Another is availability of expert teachers. These are all global problems. So in order to solve this problem, that is why there are, the technology has been used. Today, we all know, we had one very famous president of India called Dr. Kalam. Education was very, very close to his heart, and he has died, but his lectures are still available on YouTube. We can watch his lectures and get motivated and get benefited. So basically, in 2006, he had launched a portal called Sakshat Portal, and then it matured further. And today, what is being branded under Digital India, one of 9 pillars, it is actually the initiative subsequent governments have taken forward and made it more and more mature. So what I'm trying to say here is, good teachers will retire, and obviously human being will also have a lifespan. So if we can capture their expertise into digital form, then people can get benefited. That's the whole idea. And then people can go through those lectures and get credits. That is why the UGC has brought something called UGC credit framework, right? And passed the regulations by making it mandatory for the institutions to adopt it, so that the problems of shortage of teacher, problems of shortage of experts in a particular domain can be minimized by blending the actual courses which are running in a physical mode in the classes, along with, in the right proportion, the courses through SWAYAM. That's what the UGC has mandated and facilitated from the policy side of it. Now institutions have to adopt it so that the problems can be solved. Now, with those background, let's move on to the slides, and then we'll come back to the what are all the resources available, how we can use them in our respective courses. So we have, is my slide visible? Are my slides visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Cool. So let's move forward. Just
Yes, sir.
1 minute. Okay. Now, The object of discussion. We all know technology is a solution enabler, but right now our discussion is focused on the teaching, learning, and research. So we are trying to explore the possibility of how can we use technology to find meaningful solutions, affordable solutions towards problems we are facing in teaching, learning, and research. That's the object of discussion. Now, since we are talking about teaching, learning, and research, so let's talk about something which is famously known as cone of experience. So basically, we all know that anything that we read or our student reads, we are able to retain only a small portion of it, what is called something like 10%. This is basically published out of some studies. Now, if we hear, then we can retain a bit longer. That's why there are a lot of audio books available. We can read. So somebody is traveling, he can use audio books, earphone audio books, and he can still use the technology to go through the content while traveling, while commuting, etc., etc. So then if we also see, then the retention is basically a bit higher. So these are all the senses that we can engage in the learning process. Now, if we can, so if we blend them, then we can achieve even higher. So if we see as well as we hear, then we can achieve higher level of learning. That's basically as far as the some studies related to how we enhance our experience. So now, which means the key takeaway from the slide is higher level of retentions can be achieved through active involvement in the learning. So that's basically the key takeaway. Now, this is not a new study, it's very old study, but from time to time, the aids that we use in the teaching changes. So teaching aid is something very, very old. It's not a new, but a very old concept. It is used to reinforce what teachers are saying in the classes, so that it helps students by ensuring that teacher's point is understood and signal what is important, what is essential, etc., etc. Now, it also enables students to visualize or experience things that is impractical to see or do in real life. So, for example, if a teacher is teaching galaxy for the first time in a class, so there are two options. One is teacher comes to the class, draws a diagram of galaxy on the green board or white board or blackboard, which will be a two-dimensional diagram. And it will take few minutes to draw that diagram. Then teacher will try to explain. If it is the first time introduction, then it will be vaguely understood by the students. But what happens today if we run a small YouTube video of galaxy for 2 minutes, which is multimedia, three-dimensional, and it has audio, it has video, it has animation, and it says this is the stars, these are the heavenly bodies, this is how they rotate, etc., in their respective orbits. In 2-3 minutes video, the concept will be crystal clear. So that's the advantage that today in 21st century our teachers have that we did not have in the previous centuries. In fact, when we were students something like 20-30 years back, the best teaching aid available was what OHP projector. So some transparency slides will be there. Our teachers will be using the transparency slide and a yellow color OHP projector. That was the teaching aid. But today the students are more fortunate. They have plenty of resources our students can use. So basically teaching aids had been there, but it is only because of the transformation in the technology that the teaching aids are getting more and more strengthened, so that our students get multi-dimensional learning opportunity and multiple facilities. That's what we have to incorporate into our academic processes, so that we are able to keep up with the emerging trends. Now let's look at the teaching learning environment. So we had a traditional environment where the focus was on teachers and the role of learner was very, very passive, and technology was chalk and talk. So something like 30-40 years back, there was a Guruji. The student has to attend the class of that particular Guruji only, then only he or she will get to know, otherwise gone. So the focus was only on teachers. The role of learners was passive. So that was the history. That's not true anymore today. Today, the focus is actually on the learners, not on the teachers, in what is called information model. And there is a role of personal computer. Here, by personal computer does not mean literally the PC. It could be even a smartphone, which also has some computing power. So if learner has a multimedia content in his or her smartphone, then he can go through the material and get to know the subject, and uh, then in the class question answer can happen, discussion can happen. So it is not only the teacher's focus, it is actually the role of the focus has changed from teachers to learners, and the role of learners has changed from passive to active, and there is a use of technology. Then is the third model is called knowledge model, where there is actually focus is not on individual learners but on a group of learners, and the role of learner has become adaptive. And here there is a local PC or compute device plus connectivity to the internet or through the network, so that the national and international digital resources can also be incorporated and included into the learning process itself, so that there is a complete. Now, we all know in our classes, if we have to categorize our class, we can categorize them into three categories. Typically, in any class, there will be some above average students, something like 10%, 20%, 15% students will be above average. They'll be very, very sharp. In some cases, maybe, 30%. So typically 10, 20, 25% of the students will be above average based on the actual intake. Then there is a large chunk of average students, and then there is a small group of below average students, isn't it? Am I correct? Kindly share your experience also. So in that process, the needs of learning are basically different for those different groups of students. Now, suppose a teacher wants to conduct a remedial class for the weakest lot of students and does not have a solution in place. He will say, put a notice in a manual mode, let's say, that an extra class is being organized and all those who need it may kindly join and attend. Now, for all you know, the sincere lot will be sitting and the one the teacher was targeting will be missing. So, adaptive methodology or tailored needs, fulfillment of tailored learning needs based on the groups is possible only in the knowledge model, and that is what is feasible through our LMS solution or through the learning management system, where tailoring is possible, customization to the needs, adaptive learning is very, very possible, and this is happening today. Now, what is happening in the role of teachers? So teachers are becoming, changing from transmitter of knowledge to guide and facilitator of knowledge. It's not necessary that teacher should answer every question. He will guide and facilitate and help find the solution to the questions. So there are lots and lots of resources. So teacher's role in the legacy model was transmitter of knowledge. So the only thing that teacher has said is the final word. And if one misses the class of Guruji, then come back next year because the now class is over. Now nothing can be done. So that is no longer true. Teacher's role is changing from transmitter of knowledge to guide and facilitator of knowledge. Likewise, instead of controller of learning, it is creator of a learning environment. Now, if there was in a traditional model, somebody got late, teacher expelled him from the class. So teacher is controlling who can learn, who cannot learn. So teacher expelled him from the class. He is waiting outside. Now he cannot learn. So it is controlled by the teacher. That is no longer true now, because teacher is providing a learning environment. Any of the enrolled students, and in fact, in the open curriculum, it is open. So there are massive open online courses. People can learn. So it's actually creating a learning environment. Likewise, the role of teacher from always an expert is changing to collaborator and co-learner, because every teacher is a student also. He is continuously learning too. So that is what the transformation in the role of teacher is happening. Learning to use ICT, from that it is changing to using ICT to enhance learning. And from the expository, it is interactive and exploratory. So that is the transformation which is happening. Now, coming to the changes in the curriculum, which is required in the 21st century, is basically, earlier it was mostly on memorizing of facts. So whatever Guruji has told in the legacy model, if the student does not write what Guruji told in the class, he wouldn't get marks. But that's no longer true, because actually earlier there was no Google. Earlier it was totally different scenario. But now memorizing facts is no longer valid sort of
content curricula to be made. For example, if today, earlier, questions like when was Gandhiji born, where was Gandhiji born, etc. Anybody, any student in the school or college, whatever, can find out from Google and answer. So it should not be that kind of questions or that kind of assessment or curriculum. It should be inquiry based. For example, I'm giving the same example. Instead of asking question, where was Gandhiji born and when was Gandhiji born, the question should be, what would have been the approach of Gandhiji if he was alive today? Now here Google can't do. Here there will be some kind of inquisitiveness and some kind of inquiry. So that is how we'll have to modify and amend the curriculum and the assessment process, so that we can inculcate the thought process into the learners, trigger the thought process into the learner's mind by way of our class, by way of our interaction, by way of our assessment process. Now, instead of artificial teaching exercises, it should be authentic learning exercises. That's what the curriculum is changing. Now, take the example of a law student. Let's say there was in the legacy model, there was a law student. He will be doing LLB or whatever. Then he will be going and registering whatever is the registration done for legal profession. And then he will be going and joining some senior advocate and learning, etc. But today the situation has changed. A first year, second year LLB student can watch the live proceedings of the Supreme Court and the High Court. So instead of artificial teaching exercises, it could be authentic learning. For example, assignment can be, the teacher can say, tomorrow in Supreme Court, this particular hearing is listed. I want you to go through those live stream, prepare a 2-page summary of your analysis of the case. So this is real authentic learning. So this was not possible in the traditional model, but in the knowledge model, it is very much possible. So we will have to modify our curriculum to make it really ready for the context, for the job context, ready for the challenges ahead for the products of our institutions. So that's what we can do. Instead of rigid delivery, it can be flexible delivery, anytime, anywhere, which we can always do through LMS, which we can always do by doing, online and digital, blending it with the online and digital components. So the progression from single path to it is multi-path progression. So all those changes are happening, and many institutions are actually not fully prepared to adopt these challenges at the pace at which it is being demanded. So that is where the requirement of taking digital transformations, doing cultural transformation, etc., is what is needed. Now, how the media applications are changing, instead of single sense, it is multi-sensory stimulation, which means while teaching in the class, in the smart classroom, teacher can straight away go to a website, showcase the live streaming of the case if it's a legal classroom, or whatever. If it's for each subject, there are national and international digital resources are available. So it is quite possible, which means instead of only the whiteboard, students' multiple sensory stimulations are possible right in the by blending the digital resources into the curriculum. Now, single media application to multimedia application, delivery of information to exchange of information, monologue communication to dialogue and collaborative, all those are happening. And the resources from analog to digital resources. So all of those transformations are very much necessary for us to adopt. Else we will not be able to produce the rightly skilled products from our institutions. So keeping that in mind, keeping those challenges in mind, government has from time to time funded lots and lots of projects to build certain national digital resources which are available to all of us, to all the institutions, to all the students sitting in the remotest corner of India, in the remotest village, can also access these resources. Now, for example, we have Sakshat portal that we spoke about in 2006. Dr. Kalam had inaugurated this portal. Since then, a lot of further content has been added in that. Then we have National Program and Technology Enabled Learning. Then we have another national digital resource called Virtual Labs. So we do have a problem of physical labs, shortage of physical labs or availability of physical labs, etc., etc. But there are virtual labs available which we can use extensively to bridge the gap. So virtual labs as another national digital resource. Then we have EPG Pathshala. Lots and lots of national digital resources are available which can be referred to by the students, by the staff, by by in our curriculum. Appropriately, they can be referenced. Then we have swam.gov.in, which is actually our Indian MOOCs platform, where lots and lots of courses are being offered. The courses are of two types. One is self-paced learning. The other is called scheduled courses. So self-paced learning courses are very much like the typical any other open educational resources. The other is the scheduled courses. I'm sure our Professor Asim Zafar Saab would have given, or at least if not, then he will give whenever you interact with him, more insights into the SWAM, as he's he's doing very good job in SWAM, and lots of courses are being onboarded onto the SWAM platform under his leadership. Then we have another platform called swamprabha.gov.in. This is another direct to home channel. We will showcase all of that in a few minutes from now, where institutions can actually put this dish TV into their library, into common rooms, into the hostels, etc., where programs are being aired. There is a very good schedule, and the schedule is being repeated, and whatever programs have been aired, they are being archived so that they can be used by the students and the learners, and we can give them also as the assignments so that the students can go through those assignments, and then we can solve some of the problems, that you give assignment, everybody copies the assignment. All those problems can be remediated by using these digital resources appropriately. Then we have National Digital Library, which is another major project where different libraries, resources have been pulled together digitally, which can benefit. Which means if I'm in a physical mode, I can only get benefited by the books or the resources available in my own institution's library. But if I'm part of National Digital Resources, National Digital Library, then all the resources available in all the institutions which are coming under the umbrella of National Digital Library, they can be accessed. So these are all some of the national digital resources that we have. So we'll have a look at this. But before that, before we get into the demo, let me ask if there are any questions so far in what we have discussed. So I can take those questions. Otherwise, we'll go ahead for the demo side, demo of these resources and demo of the LMS platform that we have implemented in AMU also. Any questions from the participants? Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Audible.
So any questions in what we have discussed so far?
No, sir.
Okay. If there are no questions, then let me just open the... is my browser visible now? Is the browser visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me showcase some of the national digital resources that we talked about. Let's say we talked about vlab.co.in, right? So let me just open. And I also request you to parallelly open these resources on your own browser also, so that you can see the first hand, right? So open vlab.co.in parallelly in your own browser. Is it visible? Let me open multiple. So you can see here virtual labs. Here are the ones that you see here under the category of participating institutes are those institutes where these labs are physically hosted, which means in that particular institution, in some physical lab, there are some equipments and connectivity to those equipments and a proper solution in place through which these experiments have been made available. Those labs are operating 24/7, and those labs are, so that is the server side of those labs, I would say. So these labs have been set up, duly funded by Ministry of Education, some experiment of some subject, etc. And then the rest of the country users can use these labs anytime from anywhere, right? So suppose if we go through these labs and we find we have an expertise in a particular lab which is not available here in the virtual lab, then we can submit a proposal to the ministry asking that we also want to set up one lab which can be virtualized for the rest of the country. So if our proposal is approved, the funds will be sanctioned, and then the project can be undertaken to establish a lab. In that case, our institution's name will also start appearing logo in the participating institutions, right? So that's an opportunity. So if we find that we have a particular area of expertise for which there is no lab, then we can submit proposal to NME under NME ICT program that we want to establish one lab and make it, appear under as a virtual lab. So, and otherwise we can definitely use all the labs available. So let me take a lab under chemical sciences. Let me just try to explore. Or if I have to take, let me take computer science as just a minute. I would request participants to also please open these URLs at your machine respective also, because if you also open I think the level of comfort will be better. So here is what, while the virtual lab is opening, right now I think the virtual lab site is a bit slower, but doesn't matter. In parallelly, I'm moving to the next national digital resource, which is called Swayam Prabha. So we can see here, this is a very good resource, and it has we can install those dish direct to home channels into and some TV screens in appropriate places in our hostels, in our library, in our common room, etc., where students can just walk in and sit and watch the programs. Now programs are of different type. We have higher education, we have school education. So let me just first open the school education. Under school education, we have lots and lots of channels. You can see here something like how many? 182 channels, right? So I can see here channel up to 182 in the school. Now, if I move to higher education, I can see here another how many channels? 40 channels for higher education. So I would request all the participants to open some of these channels. So let me just say electronics and communication engineering, for example. So if I click on this, here is the program schedule. So on 21st March, you can see here, there is a telecast is being planned from 8 to 8:30, etc. So there are different topics. This is the schedule, and all the archive is also available. So I can say upcoming, here is the future schedule, here is the current schedule, and here is the archive. So if I go to archive, I can see lots and lots of courses which have already been aired, and I can go to their YouTube and I can see their content. So I will say kindly play this content in your local computer, because if I play it from here, you will not see the audio. So because so I would say, let me just open one. Here is, okay, this video is no longer available, so that doesn't matter. YouTube has terminated this video. Okay, no issues. So what I'm saying is, we can choose anything, like say law and legal studies, right? So we have forensic You can see here. So I wouldn't be good taking much time. I'm just saying, kindly explore this at leisure. All these national digital resources we can use appropriately into our curriculum, right? So I would request all participants to parallelly explore this. Then we have something called virtual lab that we were saying here. Now it has opened. Now let's say this is as a sample example, computer science virtual labs, right? So suppose somebody wants to learn Python programming, he can go to this particular lab, and then there are very nice, very well structured content and the objective, list of experiments, target audience, course alignment, and feedback. So we can let's say go to experiment number 1, let's say arithmetic operations, and then you can see here that for each experiment there is an aim, there is a theory, there is a pre-test, so there is a small quiz that the student can take or our lab staff can take. Then there is a procedure, simulation, and post-test. And then, so that's how, right? So we can something like that. You can see here. So that's how we can actually run. So I'm saying is there are lots and lots of experiments available. Kindly explore these virtual labs based on subject. And if you have a lab in your institution that you would like to appear here, you can submit a proposal. And through here, you can say contact us and you can submit a proposal that we want to establish one lab which is not there right now in the virtual labs. So kindly allow us, or allow us to submit a proposal, and then that proposal can be, if approved, can get funded, and then that's how we can make our institution name also appear in the virtual labs, right? So let me now take the example of the LMS that we have in our institution. We have established in our university, we have established an on-premise LMS solution. So here, this is based on Moodle, and we have this is available to all the faculty of studies in AMU. So every teacher, every faculty member is entitled to have a account on this portal. And obviously once the teacher onboards his course or her course, then the student will also be starting getting benefited from that. So every teacher and every student is entitled to have a Moodle account, and there is a procedure in place for that. So I'll just show you the inside of it. So if I log in as a teacher, then I can upload my here is a teacher dashboard, for example. If I give any announcement, that announcement will immediately be available to all my students on their handphone, smartphone. So the moment I put for example, here is the actual assignment. So on 18 November 2023, I had put a notice that immediately went to all my students, say assignment so-and-so is to so-and-so. Likewise, so any announcement we want to give to our students, we just have to put it in the portal, Moodle portal or LMS portal. Immediately the students will get. Likewise, we have all our slides. So if I have any slides, all our students immediately can download the slides that we have uploaded in the Moodle portal, and we get to know what slides the students. So for example, this slide was uploaded in August 23. Now, this is available to all my students. Likewise, if there are any open educational resources that is related, for example, there is something called DNS cache poisoning. a concept in the DNS. So if there is a relevant resource, a URL can be identified. So my student doesn't have to. So the student doesn't have to go search here and there. He'll just go through and click on that URL, and the educational resources that will give him a brief introduction, so that what teachers can use that particular feature. I think just a minute, it got logged out. So let me log in again. Okay, so that's the dashboard, and it has lots and lots of other. It has got. I'll just show the assignment side of it. I give all my assignments only through Moodle, and I don't take any manual assignments. So, but let's say putting the marks, for example, if I have to announce the marks there, so I announce the marks. So it's the e-notice board is there. So there is often a problem of shortage of staff where to put things on notice board. So we can just put it on the Moodle notice board. Immediately it will go to all the students. So likewise, so we have plenty of basic features that can solve lots and lots of problems of the students, and also the tests, etc. For example, I'll just showcase the assignment. For example, this is assignment number 1. So here the assignment was 14 students participated, all of them submitted. Now when I want to view the assignment, here is the actual assignments. So here in the assignment, the condition was we will not take typed assignment. You have to write it in your own handwriting, so that by the way, student will be at least reading the slides, reading the content, and writing in his own handwriting. So here is the actual. That's the way the student is putting his assignment. So even if he has access to slide, we will not allow him to copy and paste. He'll have to write it in his own handwriting. So in that process, at least he or she will be reading, he will be understanding, and everybody is to write in his own handwriting. We will, so that way we can give some assignments. Let's say go through this particular channel number so and so, a program is being aired on this date. Go through that content and summarize your learnings in 2-page handwritten. Now he will be compelled to go through the program and write in his own handwriting to the best of what he has understood. So in that process, the copying of the assignment problem can be solved. So that's we can use lots of innovative method to make sure. So here are I can see which student has joined when. So for example, here are this particular student. I have just logged in, so it's showing that this user has joined. This student had joined. This one of my student has logged in 7 days before. So there's some student who has 7 days, 15 hours before he had logged into this course, and he would have what all activity he has done. It's also available. So in this way, taking the example, in the morning I was doing class, my student missed the class in an online mode. He can still come back and see what happened in the class. All that I need to do is I have to just upload the content in my Moodle dashboard, and then it will be available to all the students. So that way, lots and lots of interaction can happen, and lots of there are forums, etc., which are the advanced features which can, once the Moodle is basically institutionalized, then advanced features like wikis and forums, etc., students can discuss questions among themselves, and teacher can moderate, etc. So all of that is possible. So this is as far as the national digital resources concerned for teaching learning. Are there any looking at the participants, do we need to take discussion forward towards research, or we should focus more on teaching learning itself? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you want me to talk about the ICT is related solutions that can help us to be better researchers and better research supervisors?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So basically, teaching learning discussion we have done. So let us understand the problems of research scholars and research supervisors. Can we discuss that for a few minutes before we get into the research support tools? Any inputs from the participants?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We had already discussed earlier day research, different research tools.
Okay, cool. Very nice. So see, the point is there are research resources. So then let's focus more on the, if you have already discussed about the research tool, we'll just quickly touch base on reference manager tool that we often sometimes conduct training separately. See, in the life cycle of a research scholar, when he or she joins an institution for pursuing his or her PhD, he'll complete the admission formality, come to the department, and then do some coursework, etc. So there will be a subject course, there will be a research methodology course, etc. And then there will be some component of tools also, research writing tools and reference manager tool, simulation tool, whatever, depending on what kind of research, right? Statistical tool, this tool, that tool, etc. And then the research scholar will start the work, right? So I more for an interaction, from interaction point of view, how will the research scholar decide how to work, what to work? Who will decide? What will be the research problem? What will be the research topic? I know there is a process in place in the institutions, some committee, finally the topic gets approved, etc. Then, but before the topic gets approved, there is a process, there has to be some groundwork to arrive at, the title or the problem statement, etc. So how that is happening, how that should be done, and how technology can help us to do it more effectively and better. So basically, that's one thing that we wanted to discuss. The other thing was, how do we do search? How do we search resources, right? Okay, so literature survey is, as rightly mentioned. Literature survey, the theory part will be covered in the research methodology course. But in terms of the what are these search tools that will help us to do better literature survey? Now, is it good idea to search in google.com and search the resources? See, Google, if we go to google.com and straight away try to search for research work, it probably is not the right place. If we have to search in Google, probably a better place will be scholar.google.com and go and search there, because that is where these scholars they're maintaining their profile. But otherwise, it is basically the research databases like Scopus, like Web of Science, like PubMed, etc., etc. That is what we should access. So let me just go to something called Scopus. Right. So something like any of the databases where we which is indexing the published article is a better place to search rather than searching directly in the Google. Then we have so before we get into the specifics, let me just ask or discuss the search methodology. So there are basically one is the searching through a search engine, right? So which is keyword search. So if we know exactly what we are what keywords is needed for my research, then we can straight away go and search through keywords. Otherwise, we'll have to go through what is called directory search. So one of the common problems that people have is the shortage of e-resources. These good quality e-resources are not available in the institution, etc. All those kind of problems. So in order to basically the trend is moving towards the open access. Now many journals are also offering getting indexed as open access journal, and there is a directory called doaj.org where you can see here there are around 80 languages, 134 countries, and such, 13,000 journals without fees, and something like 20,433 journals. So there are some journals who are actually, so that means these are the journals who publish without any fee. So if we have to publish an article in these journals, there is no fee involved. But of late, some journals have, because they have stopped the charging for the articles, they have also started charging for the publication. So that's why there is a difference here. So these many journals, out of which these are all the journals without fee. So this is the one such resource where we can look for to the subject articles, and then we can use that for our literature review. Okay, so let's get back to the research support tool. Just give me 1 minute, please, and then we'll start. Just 1 minute. Just allow me to share my slides. Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So coming to the just see, we have one very commonly used reference manager tool called Mendeley, which is actually a very vital resource for the academic social networking, as well as for the seeking external funding from exploring the possibility of external funds for research projects, etc. So this basically is used. We will talk about why Mendeley is good to use and why should the research supervisors and encourage the research scholars to use this as a free and open source tool available. It can be used anytime, anywhere. It is very easy for referencing, and it helps us to provide an academic social network as well as research collaboration. And it also provides an opportunity for career and funding for the academic, for the research students, for their PDF postdoctoral fellowships, etc. Right? So Mendeley is actually a free set of tools that is meant to assist users with resource discovery, collaboration, information management, and citation. Now, Mendeley was named, actually Mendeley was named by after a biologist whose name was Gregor Mendel, and another chemist. So their name, they were actually involved in the foundation of Mendeley. That's why the so basically it was created by PhD students. So that is why it is one of the most used products by PhD students, because it basically takes care of the problems being faced by the PhD students, especially in the reference management domain. So the first beta version was released somewhere in August 2008. Now it's a citation manager similar to what is called EndNote, which is the EndNote is actually a paid one. That's why people want to use free and open source. So Mendeley is a good choice vis-a-vis EndNote. So there are some other tools also like RefWorks, Zotero, etc. That is can also be used by the research scholars. Now it has got 3 usage options. One of them is the offline option, which means Mendeley can be downloaded and installed in the desktop PC. So once it is installed in the desktop PC, then it can be used without requiring connectivity also. That means all the papers which have been kept in Mendeley desktop can be used even without internet connectivity when the internet connectivity is not there. So it is a document store or document library on a desktop. So Mendeley desktop is an application that can be downloaded and installed onto the desktop PC. Now, it can be downloaded from this particular site, mendeley.com/download/desktop. So the latest version can be downloaded from there. And there are, when we want to download a software, it asks about the version of the OS and the architecture, what is 32-bit or 64-bit. So appropriate option need to be chosen based on the machine and the platform that we are downloading it for. Mendeley desktop is also available for MacBooks. So if you have Mac OS, then also we can use. If we have Linux OS, then also Mendeley desktop can be used. So it's pretty versatile. Now, once we have installed, we can simply drag and drop and add files, add folders, and we can watch the folders to, and also import the files either manually or automatically through some plugins. So here is the option. So we can use the import option to directly incorporate the files that we may have. So we may have an EndNote. We want to export from EndNote and import into Mendeley. That's possible. So export import functionality is there. We can also add files manually one by one. So add file. We can add individual papers or individual documents into the library. We can also, once we have added, we can see here it will look like that. So we have PDF. We can put some favorites, marked, unread, read, etc. All of that is possible. Then we can install a citation plugin, which is a very, very important plugin for making the Mendeley very useful. Now, this citation plugin is available not only for Microsoft Word, but also for LibreOffice or OpenOffice, which is actually the free and open source equivalent of MS Word. So that's available. So that we can cite while we write. So citation becomes very, very easy. So what it means is we can add citation both in the text citation and at the end of text references while we are writing in a Word document or in an OpenOffice document or in a LibreOffice document. Right. So to use this feature, what we need to do is we open the Mendeley desktop, go to tools, and then click on install appropriate plugins. That's what we can do. So we can here go to tools, install MS Word plugin, install OpenOffice plugin, install LibreOffice plugin, etc., etc. So all of that is, so that's how we can do. Upon installation of the plugin, view of references in the tab, it will be looking like that. So once we have installed, then this will be visible. And then we have insert. So in that we can insert the text citation. So that's how it will look like. So if we are doing, we can do insert citation here. So if we want to insert a particular citation, we'll go to library. That's how it will be. So generating the end of text citation, it will be like that. So it generates based on importing from the Mendeley. Okay. Now there are different styles of citation. So those styles are, American Medical Association or IEEE or whatever. So it has been very, very painful area for many authors that we have sent a paper to a journal. It was asking one style, and then suppose paper got rejected from there. So it was improved further and wanted to submit to another journal, and another journal is using a totally different style. So changing the style manually is a painful process, but through Mendeley we can do it on a click of a few mice. The style can be changed very easily. So we can change our citation style by selecting the style. So we can just choose which site. So we can select the which particular style we want now, and click. So within few clicks, automatically transforms to the new style. So that's so it does not require manual effort to change the style, because that's very painful. So we can search the document as a full text search, and also we can filter our document by author, by publication, by keywords, etc. All of that is possible. So here is how we can do search by authors, search by tags, search by publication, etc. All of that is possible. So that was as far as the Mendeley for desktop is concerned. Then let's move to another option of using Mendeley, which is called Mendeley for web. This requires internet connectivity and online. So in the online version, we have notebook, we have desktop, and we have web. So in fact, Mendeley web desktop we have already covered. So this web version I can use directly in any browser, either from my any machine which has a browser which connected to the internet. I can use it from notebook connected to internet or desktop PC connected to internet. So it's basically Mendeley for web. Web does not have any software requirement. It basically directly requires a browser and a connectivity to the web. So how it looks like? Let's look at the web features. Now Mendeley web means access to web version of our Mendeley library anytime, anywhere using a web browser and internet connectivity. Now Mendeley web version contains certain additional features like carriers and funding opportunity. Now these are the two new features which are available in the Mendeley for web and not available in the desktop version. Now let us also understand that there is a process of sync. In the syncing process, the data in the web version and in the desktop version gets synchronized. Now, let's say we have a desktop on Mendeley desktop in our home PC. We have, let's say, 100 papers there already filed there in the Mendeley library. Then we travel to a conference, and in the conference we find 3 papers. So my 100 papers are in my home PC. These 3 papers I can go to my Mendeley for web login and just put that in those 3 papers in my web account, and it'll add in my web account. So the moment I do sync, it will automatically synchronize all those 100 plus these 3. So in 103, it will become on the web version. And when I go and click on my desktop on home after my travel, I'll open my desktop version and say sync. So it will synchronize. So those 3 it will automatically pull. So that's the beauty of this feature. Now, when we save to our local machines, it helps us to access updated from anywhere across the globe. Here is how the sync button looks like. So the moment we click sync, it will automatically sync what is in the web version and pull the additions and bring it into our desktop version also. So then we have another feature called Web Importer or Citation Plugin, which is enables us to add references to our library and also a citation plugin that we can. So these are all features that we can use in Mendeley. Here is how it looks, the Web Importer. So when we install, then we can, if we are suppose going through the browser, on the browser, we have found some resource, we want to import directly into the Mendeley. So through Web Importer plugin, we can directly import into our Mendeley for web account. And then through sync, it will go into our desktop also. So that makes the life easier for the person who is browsing, traveling, straight away incorporate the document into the Mendeley account. So then comes to the third account, which is called Mendeley mobile app. This is the third account. Now we have Mendeley desktop, we have Mendeley web. Now third option is Mendeley mobile app. So which means there is a mobile app also. So mobile app can be downloaded and kept on the smartphone. Now it is available for both iOS as well as for iPhones. So it can be downloaded from Google Play Store or App Store, Apple App Store, iPhone App Store, and it can be installed in my phone. So in that way, we can use Mendeley mobile app. You can use Mendeley web app also. Desktop we already covered. So we can then use the groups. We can have a private group. We can have a public group if we are managing those groups. But if you are not managing the group, once we manage, then it's like any other group, like WhatsApp group or whatever. Then we can also, instead of managing, we can also join the groups. We can manage some groups, we can join some groups, and those groups could be private group or public group. For example, if a research supervisor has 3-4 different students under him, he can create private groups to share information with those research scholars, etc. So all that is possible. And if there is any public group of supervisors and etc., that can also be joined by the individual. So all of that is possible. It helps us to do easy referencing using citation plugin. And another very good feature is academic social networking. So Mendeley for Web has features to enable social networking and research collaboration. So it connects with the researchers worldwide. Mendeley has got about 6 million plus users community. So we can, if we are doing research in a particular area, then there are researchers worldwide doing research in similar area. We can connect with them very easily through the Mendeley. So it's actually a just like it's an academic social network that we can create through Mendeley. It helps us to organize research, it collaborate, and also discover the latest research. So all of that is possible by if we are using the Mendeley. Then another very important feature is career. Most of the students, when they complete their PhD, they look forward to their supervisors to guide them on how to proceed for the job, where to find job, etc., etc. So through Mendeley, that becomes very, very easy. So this option is only available on the Mendeley for Web. Desktop version it doesn't have. So in the web version, there is a career section. So what student can go and go to the career section, and then you can see here when this slide was made, there was these many jobs are being advertised on Mendeley at that point in time. So if we go and do now, the current site, you can find out how many jobs are being advertised. From time to time, the numbers keep changing. So the students can apply for those jobs. Create a profile on the Mendeley, and then here is how to create a profile, subscribe to the job alerts, and those job alerts related to a particular area, etc., will start directly coming into the inbox, and then the student can start applying for those jobs. So we can classify the jobs by discipline, by job type, and by the location. So there is one way of classification, that one is saying I want job, but I want job only within India, or I want job only within the Asia, etc. Those kind of things, or I want job of this particular subject irrespective of the location. So all of that is possible. Then we have you can see a demo, and then last is the funding opportunity. So basically, in the funding opportunity, another very important, most of the institutions will be saying that you bring some externally funded projects because this is good for my NAC writing, this is good for my MBA ranking, etc., etc. So one of the problems that people face is where from to bring the fund. So there are funding agencies like DST, like government funding agencies. In addition to that, there is one more funding opportunity, which is the funding opportunity from the global projects. So here is how we can look forward to the funding opportunities, and in the Mendeley, what all funding opportunities are available, and then the proposals can be submitted by the so funding opportunities are by research areas and by the funding type. Some funds are reserved for young scientists, some funds are reserved for lady scientists, etc., etc. So based on the funding type and by the research area. So there are different research areas. Here is a snapshot of a particular point in time. For example, here are the research areas, and then by clicking here, we can see all the research areas. Then there are fund types. Now there are travel and conferences. So somebody wants to do a travel in a particular for research in a particular area. So there are some funding agencies whom the proposal can be submitted. So travel and conferences, funds, prizes, equipments and facilities, etc., etc. So there are different categories of funding types which are available, where the possibility can be explored by the researchers and the project investigators. So this with this basically the Mendeley side is concluded. So let's focus back on any questions we have in what we have discussed so far. So we have got, I think, still have got about few minutes. So let's Any questions? We can take those questions, please. So if there are no questions, then in the next few minutes we can talk about the international digital resources like just let me open. Is the browser visible? Can somebody confirm?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What is visible? What can you read from my browser?
No, sir.
Unlocking knowledge, experiencing minds, empowering mind.
Okay, right, cool. So the URL is basically MIT OpenCourseWare. So one of the top ranking worldwide institution. Most of these, top 100 institutions, they do have OpenCourseWare, right? So here is another international digital resource belonging to different subjects, where, for example, you can see here there are new courses introduced: Introduction to Women's and Gender Studies, MIT, so and so on, data analysis and social scientists, etc. So you can see here previous, next, lots and lots of courses are being offered as OpenCourseWare. That means this is open for all, which means we can also enroll into these courses sitting here. We can see here introductory programming. So somebody wants to learn programming, he can do a course in MIT. So he doesn't have to travel to US to join a course in MIT. He can very well do from here. All that is needed is go and enroll into these courses, right? So these are OpenCourseWare. Likewise, we have MIT Open Learning Library. You can see here plenty of. Likewise, we have Stanford OpenCourseWare, Oxford OpenCourseWare, Cambridge OpenCourseWare. So these OpenCourseWare are so far we had been talking about national digital resources, right? SWAYAM and National Digital Library and Sakshat portal, blah, blah. Now we are talking about international digital resources. So so suppose if a teacher is going to teach, for example, strength of materials. So this strength of material, how the MIT is teaching, he can go through this course himself to see and benchmark his teaching standard with MIT teaching standard, or see what good they are doing, we can also incorporate. So their Introduction to Machine Learning is another undergraduate course. So all that is possible. So we can go, and you can see here there are lecture videos, there are exams with solutions, materials, and department. All of that is available. So this is the beauty and power of technology, that today it was unthinkable until 2012, and when the experiment was of MOOCs was done, and then MOOCs became common. It was, but now we can see open courses are flooded. There are MOOCs platform, there are OpenCourseWare. So basically this technology has solved the problems. I would say it has made the entire world as a very small village. So in short, people say that geography is history now, because the geography doesn't matter. You sitting in Aligarh, we can do a course in MIT. Sitting in remotest village of India, one can do a course in Melbourne University or whatever, wherever. So using these MOOCs and online courses, right? So in this way, we can make sure that these courses help us to overcome the barriers, and that is what the vision of our Prime Minister Digital India is, to make sure that let the breadth of India, the person, a student in the weakest student in a small village, also has a smartphone, also has a connectivity in his village through which he can do MIT course. He can access all the national digital resources, and he can also benchmark them against the international digital resources. So with this, let us hear from the participants how do they plan to utilize what we have discussed for about last 1.5 hours or so. So it's a time to hear from you. Yes, go ahead. Dr. Kutubuddin. Please go
Yes,
ahead.
sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sir.
How we can use them in our own institution is what is more important. Otherwise, lectures will come and lecture will go. What is more important is what are the key takeaways, how we are going to take them into our institution. For example, we have lots and lots of problems of the teachers, lots and lots of problems of the staff, lots and lots of resource issues. How do we, remediate those by blending technology into the process? So any ideas or any suggestions, if you have, please share it so that we can all collectively get benefited. Or floor is open for the participants to discuss their.
I have one question.
Yeah.
This just that you shows that the MIT Open Courseware, if we able to enroll for any courses, then we have to complete in a specific time frame, and after that we getting the certificate. I just want to know what the procedure.
See, every course has got a course. See, fundamentally there are two types of courses. One is called scheduled courses. The other is called self-paced learning courses. Self-paced learning courses does not have a schedule. You can pace your learning. So they are just like any other open educational resources like a YouTube video, etc. But the scheduled courses have a scheduled announce, which means you have to enroll on that, very similar to our SWAYAM courses. So I will say very similar to the SWAYAM courses. They are also the courses that we are in. Instead of enrolling on the SWAYAM platform, we are enrolling on the university's open courseware platform, and follow the norms of there will be assignments, there will be exams. We'll have to complete that on time. Obviously there will be a window of completion, but it has to be done within a schedule under certain terms and conditions. And in some cases there will be a small fee also. So based on just like we even have in SWAYAM courses also, we have some fee, I believe, for the exam, etc. That I think Professor Asim Zafar Sahab will throw more light on that. Fee side, administrative side of it, he will elaborate better in terms of what the participant has to do. Other than attending the class and submitting the assignment, what else is done needed for getting the certificate? He will elaborate more on that. So similarly, in fact, on the course website, they have all the information. For example, if you look at this is the MIT Open Courseware website, right? So here is a course they are calling a structure of material. Now, this structure of material has got it has got everything. Now, here is a total detail and lecture videos, and what we need to do is we can just a minute. We can, and the contact details are also mentioned here. So what we can do is we can contact instructor, we can enroll, we can ask any questions. So what all that is needed is just create a login and password and then enroll in the courses. Obviously, it will not be anonymous. It will be through registered participants and enrolling into the courses, right? And on every site, there is something called contact us. So we can here, there are frequently asked questions here. We can fill these details, put our inquiry. You can see here, submit, and then they will revert very professionally, right?
Okay, sir. Sir, I have also another question.
Yeah.
Many of the students of me who belongs to the commerce background, they mostly asked me about the MBA course at the online mode at the low cost. So can you suggest any kind of websites like that which just fulfill their demands?
I guess I would say, fortunately, our Professor Asim Zafar Sahab is also an IGNOU. He is also the director of IGNOU for our location, Aligarh chapter. So I will leave this question for Professor Asim Zafar Sahab to guide on how do we do I would say. We'll have to, whenever we are doing any online course, we do have in MU also, we have an online distance education center. Then there is a IGNOU center. Then, so we go through the university's credential and the recognition before not only just looking at the cost and low cost, because it should be what basically a student should do is do their due diligence to find out the authentic course of courses being offered by the approved universities, because otherwise, I mean, whatever they are claiming must be cross-verified from the source by checking with the UGC website or by the regulatory bodies, so that there is no surprise, because there are so many fake cases also that have come across.
Yes, sir. I also heard some cases. This is the renowned university, St. Xavier's University, and collaborated with, I don't know, my one of my brother enrolled over there for the distance education. But after passing the 6 months, they told that they don't get the license, and so that's why their batch is totally cancelled. So that's kind of happened actually.
Yeah, so that's why I think I will leave this question for Professor Asim Zafar Saab on what a student should do to check. I think IGNOU is very, very reputed. AMU distance education, we have a directorate of distance and online education. We have so you can look at AMU and IGNOU. Plus, other than that, what all things? So I think Professor Asim Zafar, I leave that to him to take this question for the remaining part of this question. But I would say, as a thumb rule, don't just go by the marketing pamphlets and the brochures. Do an independent cross verification from the agencies, because otherwise, after investing a few years and money, if the student gets to know that the degree is not recognized, then it will be shock. So that should be avoided, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, it is.
Any other questions from any of the participants related to what we have discussed so far? If there are no questions, then I'd like to thank all the participants for your valuable time. And the allotted quota of time is up. So I'll like Professor Asim Zafar Sahab to allow me to leave the meeting room and kindly take it forward for the next. Hello. Is Professor Asim Zafar Saab, am I audible? Thanks for your time. And I'll leave this room now, and Professor Asim Zafar Saab will take it further. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.